Mac,
Goo.
I'm just checking in. How are
Okay.
you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I don't know how to answer that.
Oh, why? Why is that?
No one's really ever asked me how I'm doing.
No one ever asked you that ever?
No, that's why when Elmo on Twitter, X, if you will, the other
Okay.
day just
Sure.
sent out a wellness check just saying, hey, how's everyone doing? I didn't respond because I don't know how to respond.
The internet's not a place for people to be nice, so I'd like Elmo to fuck off.
Who are you, Larry David?
By the way, that was Elmo's dad in that. I don't
let's get to that.
I don't think that's true. When did Elmo's
Elmo,
dad become a thing?
like 96.
Okay.
Elmo was it the Today Show?
Yeah, or Good Morning America or something.
One of those two. Credit where credit's due. You guys decide. But Larry David had the next segment. And out of nowhere, Elmo sitting there with his dad, that fucking deadbeat. Larry walks out there, smushes up Elmo's face, gives him a little almost. And then, as it's happening, Elmo's dad just sits there, does nothing.
I would really like to be in the room or a fly on the wall in a room that had a parent and like a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old wondering what the hell just occurred.
Goo, a parent with the mentality of a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Hated all of it. I didn't like Larry doing that. I know. I didn't care for that at all. But then also, and I think someone on Twitter, X, if you will, said it best, is that Elmo's dad is all sesame, no street.
Well, so I always have a tough time gauging the ages of the Sesame Street puppets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Oscar's like 45, been living on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Bert and Ernie might be like 25, fresh out of college sort of thing. Is Elmo 5?
Elmo is 3.5. The same as my 3.5.
Wow. So they must talk about that then.
Yeah, Elmo had just mentioned it the segment prior that his birthday is next week and he's turning 3.5 again.
Almost 3.5. So that, yeah. And then it's the assault's a little tougher to swallow.
You know what Elmo's dad said?
What?
He just said, he was like, hey, Larry, keep our hands to ourselves.
That's a good Sesame Street little lesson right there.
No, but you know what you should have said? Fuck you, you bald-headed bitch.
I would have liked Larry to beat the shit out of Bert. Although Bert and Larry would probably be friends because they're both curmudgeons.
I'm fine with that, though. Don't go at the puppet. This makes me feel like, you know how I've always been pissed at Kevin's dad in Home Alone?
Sure.
For not standing up when Uncle Frank, not Uncle Frank, blanking. Is Uncle Frank?
Yeah, it's Uncle Frank.
Yeah, Uncle Frank. When he calls his son a little jerk, which I've kind of eased off of because, you know, kids can be jerks sometimes.
100%.
But this is even worse. Elmo's dad done fucked up.
Elmo's dad isn't standing on business, as the kids say.
If I'm Elmo's mom, I'm packing my suitcase.
She's still in the picture?
I'm leaving. Oh, yeah. I'm getting out of there.
So there's a whole Elmo family on Sesame Street now.
Whole Elmo family.
What's Elmo's last name?
About to be a whole broken Elmo family.
Does Elmo have a last name?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
But I'm just disheartened.
Yeah.
I thought more of Elmo's dad.
I agree. I think we all did.
Now, I feel nothing.
One, two, three, yeah! Goo. Jaws 3. Goo. King of Queens. Goo. Meryl Streep. Entertainment.
I'm Goo.
And I am Mac.
And we are the Mac and Goo program. We bring you real friendship, unlike those people like Elmo's dad.
Listen, if I saw someone face push Raffi, I would step in. I would stand on business.
Thank you. But also, I think I would as well.
Yes, true. That's true. I would hope.
My son is just up there. He's behind the couch, asking everyone how they're doing, making everyone feel good about themselves. And then this bald-headed asshole walks out there. If this is you, you're a bald-headed asshole. You walk out there and you smush my kid's face. I'm going to step up.
Here's a real-world question. It's a hypothetical, but it's a something that very well might happen to you in the next, 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You bring your kid to the playground. Some fucking bully-ass kid is there, pushes Raffi down. you have to confront the kid and the other dad.
So
And then
here's the issue.
The other dad wants to get confrontational. How do you handle that?
May I step on top of you real quick?
Yeah.
My kid is the bully already, so I don't know.
I mean, there's always bigger bullies out there. There always is.
Hope he finds one soon because he needs to be taught a lesson.
So you're hoping for this play. So you're going to be clapping.
Yeah. Kid needs to be taken down a peg.
All right, Jeff feel.
Just not by an 80-year-old bald guy.
Yeah, no, I see that. He needs a nice big 4-year-old to step in on the 3-year-old turf.
He needs an Angelica.
Yes, sure does.
Mm-hmm.
Go!
Yeah, what are we doing today?
Today we got a real smorgasbord of stuff. I have seen all of these. You've seen 3 of the 4. We got 4 things we're talking about today. And honestly, you're missing out on the best one here.
I'm aware of that. So the movie that I really want to see, and I would love to talk to you about, is called American Fiction.
Yep.
I've been looking forward to this movie for 3 months now. As soon as the trailer came out, I was really excited to see it. We never got a screening for it, and life gets in the way. I'm not able to sneak away sometimes to see movies. We have what we have.
Yeah, I think this was its 8th week in the theaters, and it got a real boost, a real bump the last 3 or 4 since the Oscar nominees. It is a 5-time Oscar nominee now. I think it is still leaving theaters soon, though, so it'll probably be home release within the next couple of weeks. So hopefully you get to it before we do the vault. But first on tap today is a brand new release, just hit theaters this past weekend, and there are a lot of thoughts on the internet about this one, Goo. We're talking about Argylle here, Goo. Now, you saw the screening of it. In fact, you had a job during the screening of this movie.
I was the trivia host.
Yes, yes, you were. And
I got to go in front of all the other critics. I asked spy questions. We got answers. I gave away a backpack that you could put a cat in.
Oh, like the one from the movie. How about that?
Like the one from the movie.
With a little bubble on it?
It's the bubble, and it has like a mesh on there so the cat can breathe.
Oh, okay. How about that?
Yeah.
I missed the screening, caught it the other day, paid American dollars for it, so maybe that affects my.
But let me also say this: is that originally this was supposed to be its own episode, and then we said maybe we'll put it with something else, and now we've put it with 4 things because we need anybody to listen to this episode. No one went and saw it this weekend.
Yeah, it actually ended up making a little more than I thought, but yeah, it didn't do all that great. And Goo, coming into the year, Argylle was one of our more anticipated movies.
Number 4
we
or 5.
Love Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn has made a few of our favorite films over the last 10, 15 years. And I think we have to have a Matthew Vaughn conversation after this movie, but let's get into the nuts and bolts here. Goo. Argylle is a rated PG-13 action and thriller
with a 2 L's. There's 2 L's in Argylle. Don't forget that.
Also in thriller, with a runtime of 139
also
minutes.
In Llama.
Llama. That is 2 hours and 19 minutes. One of the first things I thought about during the movie and immediately after is this movie is 30 to 40 minutes too long.
May I ask you this, and do you have this off the top of your head? Was Kingsman closer to 2 hours? Was Kick-Ass closer to 2 hours?
I didn't check on either of those. How about you look that up while I finish?
I'll look it up real quick. But also, I think what we're dealing with here is that this movie is more of a comedy, I'm going to put that in quotes, than anything else. And comedies should not be this long.
Let me amend your statement. This movie tried to be more of a comedy.
That's why I put it in quotes.
So devoid of comedy, it didn't even make it onto the IMDb description of the movie.
I put it in quotes.
Goo, on Rotten Tomatoes, this has 35% from the audience, 70%. This has 35% from the critics, 70% from the audience. That is not good. And doubling down on that is a 36 on Metacritic. So pretty universally, what both the audience and the critics are saying is this is the worst movie that Matthew Vaughn has ever made. Now, I think there's a conversation around that. I don't know if it definitively is. For some, it may be. But this is definitely, to me, it was a clear miss by Vaughn.
By the way, Kingsman, 2 hours, 9 minutes. I think that's right around where it should be.
Okay.
And then Kick-Ass is under 2 hours.
Wow. Credit to Vaughn on that one.
Mm.
Before we get to Vaughn, Goo, this movie is written by Jason Fuchs. You would know him from Ice Age Continental Drift. I know you're a big fan of that
I'm a
one.
big Leguizamo guy.
They released a movie called Pan within the last 15 years that I never saw. So
Yeah, is that the Peter Pan movie with Hugh Jackman?
no
There's one
idea.
where he's Captain Hook, I think.
No clue. Maybe that's the one. He was also a writer on Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman had like 4 writers.
Is that the one where Hugh Jackman is Captain Hook?
Right off the top, I thought the writing in this movie was really bad. Both the overarching story, the bigger picture, and the person-to-person conversations, I had issue with both of those. And of course, we can blame Jason Fuchs for this because he's the writer. But really, Matthew Vaughn's in charge of everything. At this point in his career, he's in charge of everything. So he handpicked Fuchs most likely, and or Fuchs had started the script and Vaughn helped him. I'll blame Fuchs preemptively, but I think this is a Matthew Vaughn issue. And Goo, of course, this is directed by Matthew Vaughn. Now, his first 5 movies are nothing short of tremendous. He had this isn't in order. This is just in order of Rotten Tomatoes scores here. X-Men First Class, Layer Cake, something called Stardust, which I haven't seen but did real well. 77%, 77%, 86%. Bobby D's in that movie, Goo. How about that? And then
he's in a lot of shit, so it doesn't really speak.
Then, of course, Kick-Ass and Kingsman. Those are 5 great movies by any way you slice it up. Unfortunately, his 3 lowest rated movies, Goo, have been his last 3. So I think we need to sign Matthew Vaughn up for a no guy. We need him to not have total control of things here, because this movie at the end loosely connects itself to a Kingsman universe, a wider scope.
Spoiler.
Here. And I don't even know if it really makes sense, number one, that it's doing that. Number two, the 3 movies since the first Kingsman movie have all been not so great. So I don't know if we want to keep going down this path. Our bottom 3 movies here are Kingsman: The Golden Circle. That was the sequel. That has 50% and 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Kingsman, which I liked a little more than Golden Circle, 40% and 80%. But neither are world beaters. And then Goo, of course, this is at 35 and 70. There's something missing to all 3. They don't have the magic that, say, Kick-Ass or Kingsman had.
I would say that outside of the Rasputin scene, Rasputin?
Rasputin.
Outside of that scene, I thought the Kingsman movie was terrible. I hated it.
Oh, the problem with that thought, though, I think that was like kind of clearly better than this movie.
I would put it above those bottom 3.
Well, bottom 2. This would be the 3rd.
So I would put it. I thought this was a movie. I was looking at your list. I would put it above those bottom 2, and that's also me knowing and going into it that it's dumb. And you mentioned how bad the writing is, or how bad I look at it as through the lens of a bad airport novel, and that's what they were going for. So it's kind of done on purpose.
That seems a little too excusatory, though.
I'm aware that I'm excusing
I look
it
at
a
it
bit.
more through the lens of Matthew Vaughn loves like World War II, and then also like 60s aesthetic, early 1900s, and then like 60s. And he keeps going back to these in his movies. And man, like these last 3, it makes me start to think like, all right, so the Golden Circle was a disappointment coming off Kingsman. The Kingsman was disappointing because you're like, oh, it's sort of an origin to this whole thing. It's my 2-word review for it afterwards was pretty dumb. This movie is just pretty dumb, and I don't feel that way about the other 2.
But also, if you're gonna do every spy cliche, which this movie pretty much does, doesn't that have to be on purpose?
So that I'm totally in on that. But if you're gonna do that, it has to be legitimately funny, and this isn't.
I don't think it's hilarious. I did laugh at points. I think that Sam Rockwell's character is pretty funny.
There's some fun in here, and Sam Rockwell is great, but this movie is not funny. Upcoming for Vaughn, we'll move past Vaughn for the time being. What he's got upcoming, like I alluded to, maybe he needs a no guy. 2 more movies in the Kingsman universe. One called The Kingsman, The Traitor King, which is a sequel to the prequel, and then Kingsman, The Blue Blood, which is a sequel to the sequel. So I think he might want to hold off and really figure something out before he dives into
Well,
those.
I don't know if it's going to be him that wants to hold off or if it's the studio that says,
Yeah,
let's hold.
maybe that's a good point too. Goose, synopsis for Argylle. A reclusive author who writes espionage novels about a secret agent and a global spy syndicate realizes the plot of the new book she's writing starts to mirror real world events. She doesn't realize that it gets told to her. Uh, Mirror real world events in real time. This movie stars Henry Cavill as Argylle, Bryce Dallas Howard as Ellie Conway, Sam Rockwell as Aidan Wilde, Bryan Cranston as director Ritter, Dua Lipa as Lagrange, Ariana DeBose as Kira, John Cena as Wyatt, Catherine O'Hara as Ruth, Samuel L. Jackson as Alfie, and also Chip as Alfie the cat.
The CGI cat.
There was a real cat in there too, but it was a lot of CGI.
It's mostly CGI. It's mostly a CGI cat.
Good. The CGI cat was based on Chip. Don't short Chip here. Speaking of how this movie did this weekend, the domestic box office didn't even clear 20 million, 18 million, and that might be on the high side. It made 17 million internationally, so 35 million overall. This is going to struggle to get to 100 million total. I think
it's not gonna. If it only
combined.
made 35 in its opening weekend, and this is the word of mouth that it's getting,
Yeah,
I don't think that's gonna do well.
Yep. Trouble's afoot here.
Trouble.
I have a couple spoiler questions here. Maybe we'll
Save those for
a few
after the
minutes.
hot dogs.
Yeah.
You can do. So you already said pretty dumb.
Yeah,
I agree that it's dumb.
This movie's dumb.
I agree that it's dumb, but at different points. But at the point where I found it to be dumb and jumped the shark, I had then just let go of the story. And I said, just give me some action scenes and I don't care. And I was given 2 action scenes that I loved. I think you loved one of them and you hated the other one.
I would say the 2 action scenes you're talking about, it was 35 sharks jumping. That's how I would describe them. They were insane. One was particularly bad.
That's because it was so insane. You say whatever
For
at this
me,
point.
This movie was solid and intriguing up through the reveal. The reveal happens. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. And then pretty much everything after the reveal, not good, including
I hated the reveal, and then I hated everything else because it was just a ridiculous movie anyways. People have called it a cartoon of a movie. I agree.
Yeah.
And these are so cartoonish that you say whatever, they're just fun.
Yeah, but so the church scene in Kingsman,
yes, the church scene obviously
is how you do a cartoonish scene.
But it also plays with the story as well. Like it goes with the story.
100%.
This doesn't necessarily go with the story. The second one doesn't even make any sense to how it happens, but it just looks cool to me.
Oh, God. The second shark jumping that I am referring to definitely looks cooler. The first one, I legit was so shocked that it was happening that I couldn't even have an opinion on it. I just couldn't believe
I was
that
so
it happened.
happy.
And it happened for like 3 minutes. It wasn't even 30 seconds. It was 3 minutes.
I was happy. I was smiling ear to ear. I'm like, this is so stupid, but I love it.
Goo, let's get into the gauntlet here. Fun factor.
Also, before the gauntlet, they played the new Beatles song 3 times.
Yeah.
First off, I'm not a fan of that song in general.
I am a fan of it.
But this was so forced in by Apple being like, you need to use this Beatles song.
I hear you on that because it is Apple. However, the way they justify it being used makes sense to me. Maybe they need to use it 3 times, but the first 2 times made sense for sure. 3 was maybe a bit overkill. You're not wrong about that. Goo, fun factor.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a decent amount of fun here, especially in the first half. There's a little bit of fun in the second half, but for a Matthew Vaughn movie, this was the least fun I've had.
I had fun in the first act, and then because I thought the second act was so void of fun, that by the time that we got to the cartoonist stuff at the end, I was like, you know what? I think this is fun now.
Satisfactor. I couldn't find one thing satisfying in this movie.
I hated every twist as we went. Every new twist, I'm like, I don't like that.
There's just, and even like the one at the end in the big climax of the film, you saw coming from a mile away because they talk about it like 2 or 3 times, which is stupid. Halloween, Goo. There's no reason to come back to this movie.
I might watch those scenes on YouTube.
Equator
You
is
skipped
this
barometer, by the way. It is boring.
Oh, I did skip barometer. How
Yeah.
about that? I checked the time 2 times in this movie, Goo. I took my phone out twice. First time about 10, 15 minutes after the reveal to see how much time we had left, and there was a shocking amount of time. Second time with about 20 minutes left. The second half of this movie takes forever.
I never checked my phone, but I just sat in my chair and said to myself multiple times, when is Matthew Vaughn gonna Matthew Vaughn?
When's he gonna get real twisted? Equator, is this movie better or worse than 2017's Aquaman? And Goo, this is pretty close. It might barely float. It might sink. I'm having a hard time with this one.
It's cheesy. It's cheesy like it's a lot like Aquaman. It has a lot of the same fun that I had with Aquaman.
As much as I do not like Aquaman, Aquaman is more coherent than this movie is.
I agree. But that's not what it is. We're not saying which movie's more coherent.
I'm having a hard time finding out if this floats.
Both movies, leading lady, redhead.
By the way, thick with 2C's Bryce Dallas Howard. Big thumbs up.
I wanted to applaud it, and I'm not trying to make a stand here or anything like that. But generally, movie studios, directors, they want a more
svelte
leading lady. And I liked how Bryce Dallas Howard looked in this.
I sure did as well. Although when she went to the blonde hair, I preferred the red hair. So
I didn't like the blonde hair. I didn't like the dress either.
Yeah, I agree with
you. Let
you.
me ask you, Fashion Mac. Did you
look
like
better
that dress?
On Lagrange?
I think that's the issue, is that when you see something on Dua Lipa first,
yes, yeah,
and then you're like, oh, you have to wear it too. Fuck.
Also, credit to Dua Lipa for doing her job in the 5 minutes she was on screen.
She did. I think she doed a better job in this one.
Also, John Cena wasn't in all that much. I wanted more of John Cena, to be honest with you. Cavill was decent.
You know what I liked is when they were not the action scenes, when they were cutting Cavill and Rockwell. I liked when they were having dialogue and they were cutting the dialogue between the two and two.
I was more interested in that. And then that went away more in the second half of the movie.
No, that didn't go away more. That just went away.
Yeah. Well, there was one final scene with her in the gold dress. Goo, Pants, Tent City, Excite Bike Mania. I would say more like Shark Jump City. Am I right?
Well, yeah, but I think that played into my fun.
All right. Okay, fair enough. Max Credit Union. What do I give credit to in this movie? Thick with 2C's Bryce Dallas Howard is my exact style. I got to give credit to Sam Rockwell. I don't know if he realized he was acting in a piece of shit of a movie, but he did his best as he always does, and he was truly, really good.
I thought both of them were actually pretty good. I liked the chemistry between them. I bought what was going on between them. And like you said, the dialogue wasn't great, but those two carried it off for most of the movie.
Yeah, that is the best part of the movie, that the two leads were better than they were all. Bryce Dallas Howard was good. Sam Rockwell was great. So that prevents this movie from being like an all-time stinker.
You know what I like?
That apparently that moron from the Globe said this was the worst movie he's ever seen. That is not true whatsoever.
You know what I also liked? So I did not like the use of the Beatles song.
Okay.
I liked the rest of the soundtrack.
As most Matthew Vaughn movies are, the movie and the score, or the music and the score, is pretty good, and I even like the Beatles song. So that is a thumbs up for this movie. Goo, hot dogs, hot diggity dogs, hot dog.
Let me the other day I was listening back through a bunch of Norris the Terrible. Go give him a listen. Is he on SoundCloud or something?
Spotify?
Is he on Spotify?
Pretty sure.
Just give a Google to Norris the Terrible. Find him on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, I think. Listen to his music. But he used to write hot dog songs for us. I listened to all of his old hot dog songs the other day. They're fantastic.
Yeah. What's funny is he had a minor complaint because all the songs we usually picked by his were his laziest ones, but they were the catchiest ones. But he always puts out good stuff. Mm-hmm. Goo, this is only the third movie I've seen from 2024, and it is clearly number 3. I've got it at 25 hot dogs, and it is definitely my least favorite Matthew Vaughn movie to date. The more I thought I wasn't so sure when I left the theater. A couple days afterwards now, it is definitely my least favorite Vaughn movie, and 25 is probably a little too high. It's probably more like 22, 23. I'll probably end up bumping it down a couple dogs in a couple months.
I actually think the audience on Rotten Tomatoes nailed it. 70%, I think, is perfect. I give it a 28.
Wow. You were more forgiving to this than I.
Like I said, I had fun with how stupid it was. I enjoyed the stupidity. Why can't people turn their brains off and enjoy dumb shit?
I would say the first half of the movie is like a 32. The second half of the movie is like a 12.
Oh, can I also? This is maybe my biggest pet peeve of. Is this a pet peeve or is this like an annoyance? I don't know. But there was a guy sitting behind me at the screener. Can we do spoilers real quick?
Yeah, let's get into the spoilers.
Okay,
Spoilers.
If you want to skip this, skip ahead 3 minutes. Let's say 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Just turn us off. Never turn us back on. Get away. Stay away from us. No, there was a guy sitting behind me. And when the movie connected Kingsman and this, or the Kingsman universe to this, the guy sitting behind me just went, why can't I just enjoy a movie for what it is? Why do I need to think and connect it to a bunch of other stuff? Shut the fuck up. If you don't want to connect it to other stuff, enjoy this movie for what it is and just don't care about what happens next.
So speaking of connecting it to Kingsman, there is a post-credit scene in this movie, which was unbeknownst to me. Credit to Goo for not telling me. So I left the theater, didn't see it, ended up catching it via New Rockstars. And this post-credit brings on so many questions, Goo. The post-credit is like in the 1980s in this Argylle world.
Yeah.
The real Argylle goes to a pub called the Kingsman, and they kind of loosely connect this to the Kingsman franchise. Two things here. Number one, the end of this movie introduces the quote unquote real Argylle. Henry Cavill steps up in the
that was
back
weird.
of her book thing. So I don't understand that. And that's apparently a young him.
She's Argylle, and that's that was like, okay, that's really stupid.
Like, I'm like, all right, I'm good with that though. She got memory loss,
like
whatever.
I hated that.
But then the real Argylle exists and stands up. And so they put him at the end of the movie and then in the post credit. So if you're connecting this to the Kingsman, Samuel L. Jackson plays the bad guy in the Kingsman movie, and he's the former CIA director in this.
What did I just say about that other guy?
This is just stupid, dumb. So the movie was pretty dumb, and then the end and the post credit were even dumber. It honestly knocked like another dog or two down after seeing the end and the post credit of the movie.
I'll also say that after seeing the post credit, all it made me want to do was watch the first Kingsman movie because it's a better movie.
I was just confused by the whole thing. It just really didn't make sense. And then
manners maketh man.
And of course, we talked about how good Sam Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard was. I was more invested in the fake world during this movie. I really liked Henry Cavill and John Cena playing like a buddy cop combo. Like that was pretty intriguing to me. And I would have preferred more of that. And then they never brought Dua Lipa's character back either, which really bothered me.
How many minutes was Cavill actually in this movie?
I bet Cavill had 12 and Cena had like 8.
I was going to say 10, but pretty close though. And he is, if you look at the movie poster, there's like, I think 7 actors flanked, like a flying V, if you will.
Yeah.
Cavill is dead cock. And then not next to him. So like not the next 2 people, but then 2 people after that is Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard. So they're really hiding who the stars of this movie are.
And honestly, that maybe that's my main takeaway here, Goo, and why I have such a sour taste about this movie. The fake story within our real movie was much more fun and exciting than the story in the real movie. I wanted to see what happened in the Cena Cavill world more than I cared about Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard, and that is certainly an issue when it comes to the story and the writing. I
think it's all the same. By the way, the scenes that I loved the colored smoke scene. I thought that was so fun, and they showed just enough. Obviously, they didn't show all of it because of like the smoke, but you got the callback to the twirly bird.
Yeah. So that scene,
the roll.
That scene was visually cool. However, because it took place so deep in, and I was so sick of the 40 minutes before it, I was over this scene as well. It also struck me as like almost it felt like a Harley Quinn scene somehow.
So it reminded me of from The Suicide Squad. of when Harley Quinn leaves the jail cell and it's cartoonish in the background and
Yeah.
she's taking out all those guys
Yeah.
in the foreground. The scene that didn't like her skating on the oil didn't
This-
make sense, but
this
I
is-
didn't care. I loved it.
This is a shark jumping scene if I ever seen one. Up until this point of the movie, there's been some ridiculous things happening. And then they said, you know what we're going to do is have this room that they're in, this control room, flood with oil, but only flood like 2 inches of
Yeah, that's so
thick
that you
black
can't use guns.
oil.
It's so you can't use guns.
And so first of all, when oil is that thick, it actually isn't even flammable. So that doesn't even
You
make
don't know
sense.
that.
Number 2, she takes out 2 knives, steps on them on her boots, and somehow the oil becomes skateable. She can ice skate.
Like I said, I didn't get it. But also,
She
I
would
don't
have been better
care.
off sliding. That would have made more sense than the skating.
And
How does
she's
the
like,
skating
oh
make
my
sense?
God. And she's going around with this machine gun with a knife on it. And then when she starts to do like the pirouettes with the gun, I'm like, all right, yeah, give me this.
This was so fucking stupid.
I loved it. I loved it.
So a little peek behind the curtain. I went and saw a 4:00 screening on Friday. There was 6 other people in the theater with me. One person got up and left after the reveal. The couple to my left got up and left right around this time with like 20 minutes left. So it was just me and the couple with their son behind me that stayed for the whole movie.
It was just a war of attrition in your theater.
Tough viewing. I respected the fuck out of the guy that got up and left after the Argylle reveal. He said, "That's it, I'm done." This,
And I don't blame him for that. But if he stuck around, he would have been rewarded.
So 20. I'm gonna bump it down. I'm gonna give it a Michael Jordan 23 hot dogs. I've already.
Oh,
lost
that's below the
respect for it.
equator.
Yeah, it's below the equator. Aquaman is a better movie than this movie. This is 23 hot dogs. My number 3 on the
I'm
year.
sticking to 28.
Oh, God.
I had good dumb fun. I
God love you,
enjoyed,
Goo. God
dude,
love you.
enjoy stupidity, guys.
more-
Everything can't be smart.
The more I talk about the movie, the more I dislike it.
Also, I went skating today.
Frog Pond?
I felt great. Yeah, Frog Pond.
Nice.
Because like everyone else was like a learn to skate type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm slightly better than that. So I was just weaving and bobbing in and out of people. It was
I'll
great.
tell you, Goo, the last time I haven't skated consistently in a while. I played about 8 or 10 years ago in a weekly pickup thing for a few weeks, some run. And I was So I was 24 and I hadn't skated out for hockey in a few years. I played intramurals in college. There were 3 girls there that played Harvard D1. They were better skaters than me, but I'll just say I put up the most points during the free skate, the run. Just say
That's
that.
because you would park your ass in front of the net and not move.
Stick handling. They didn't have the stick handling. They were undoubtedly in much better shape than I, but they couldn't get the puck away from me.
Were you wearing a Jofa helmet?
And I'm not even that good. I played goalie for 3 years.
I didn't want to
last
say
year.
anything, but you were fine.
This isn't to put women down. They deal with enough. So I just want to say that little tidbit. Credit to me. Credit to 24-year-old me.
Well, credit to me for being the best skater at Frog Pond today.
Yeah.
I can say without
You were
without
high
a doubt
school
in my
goalie.
mind, I was the best skater there.
What year did you start playing goalie? Was it 6th grade?
6th grade.
So you never skated out after like 12 or 13 years old.
No,
and you were
but
the best skater at Frog Pond today.
If you look at like pro NHL hockey, most goalies are goalies in like 3rd or 4th grade. So I had 3 years on them.
All right, Goo. Next up here. American Fiction. American Fiction, Goo. This is one of the better movies of 2023.
I wish I saw this. Yeah.
This premiered at the Toronto Film Festival on September 8th. It hit U.S. theaters on December 5th. So it's been in the theater for about 8 weeks now. It is a rated R comedy and drama with a runtime of 117 minutes, so just under 2 minutes. It's pretty crisp. There's not much wasted time in here. On Roddy Teasgoo, 94% from the critics, 95% from the audience, universally loved, and 81 on Metacritic. Fucking banged out an 80. Very impressive. Goo, this is written and directed by Cord Jefferson. As a writer/editor, you might remember him from Master of None, the Aziz series. He was both a writer and editor on that. He was a writer and editor on the show The Good Place, which a lot of people enjoyed. I actually gave that a chance. It was okay. He was also a writer and editor on HBO's Watchmen. So he's had some relative success in his young career. This movie is based on the novel Erasure by Percival Everett. So He or she gets a writing credit here. They, I should say. Dude, this is nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, and it absolutely deserves it. This movie is very, very funny, and mostly because of the writing.
May I stop you there?
Mm-hmm.
Funniest movie of 2023?
Not quite, but it is a hilarious movie. I still think Barbie was the funniest movie of the year.
So is this second?
It's in the conversation.
If this is second, I'll just think that it's better then.
This is directed again by Cord Jefferson. This is his directorial debut, Goo. First ever directing credit at IMDb. Quite the entry onto the big screen here. Synopsis: a novelist who's fed up with the establishment profiting from black entertainment uses a pen name to write a book that propels him into the heart of hypocrisy and the madness he claims to disdain. I almost burst out into laughter there because the name of the book in this movie is Laugh Out Loud Funny. There's just so many things in this movie that are very funny. And it's also a little bit of an emotional movie as well. They do a good job tugging at your heartstrings a couple times. This movie stars Jeffrey Wright as Thelonious Monk Ellison. He is nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars next month. Tracy Ellis Ross plays his sister, Lisa Ellison. Leslie Uggams plays his mother, Agnes Ellison. Sterling K. Brown plays his brother, Clifford Ellison. He is nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars.
Haven't seen the movie, but he deserves it.
He was awesome.
He's awesome in everything he does.
Jeffrey Wright was phenomenal. I think Sterling K. Brown was better, but obviously he was in it.
Sterling K. Brown, This Is Us, the show This Is Us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a, primetime soapy show. For the 3 years that I watched it, he was so good every single episode.
It's hard to describe his character in this. I just want you to watch it. Like, he does a great job because he's asked to do a couple things that most of the other characters aren't.
He's also in a fantastic SNL sketch where he's meeting his girlfriend's family for the first time, and the in-laws or the girlfriend's parents jokingly say that, I don't know, Finding Nemo is the best animated movie of all time. And then he goes to bat at war for Shrek. And it's so funny.
I've never seen that. You're going to have to send that to me. I'll look it up afterwards. Also in this, Maya Lucretia Taylor is Lorraine. She's sort of like the family's housekeeper. John Ortiz plays Jeffrey Wright's agent, Arthur. Erica Alexander plays his love interest, Coraline. Issa Rae plays another author named Sinatra Golden. Mm-hmm. Raymond Anthony Thomas is Maynard. And then Adam Brody in here has a great cameo as Wiley Valdispino. He's like a piece of shit Hollywood exec that just wants to make money, and he plays that really well. This movie has 5 Oscar nominations. It's nominated for Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actor. And honestly, I wish of course it only came out in December. I wish I had seen it opening weekend to maybe get a little more people out there to go see it. It is one of the 3 or 4 best movies of the year for me.
There were 3 of you out there to see it.
Fun factor: it might not be the funniest movie of the year, but there's several laugh out loud moments. It's a hysterical movie, very, very funny movie. Satisfactor: I don't think the conclusion is satisfying at all, and that is honestly why it's probably at 37, 38 and not closer to 40. But the social commentary in this movie is spot on, and that stuff is pretty satisfying. Barometer: Noonan, under 2 hours.
Wow.
It's a great watch. It doesn't feel like 2 hours at all. Halloween, I actually have a desire to go watch this again, so I'm super excited when this hits streaming in a few weeks. Quater, get that corn out of my face. Pants Tent City, there are a couple of great comedic moments in this movie. It felt a lot like Air in the sense that Air wasn't an outright comedy. It was like somewhat of a drama. There's a whole story going on, and then there would be a belly laugh moment. And this movie was a lot like that.
I just thought of this. Air is kind of like, it's a drama, but also a comedy. Dramedy?
That's what this movie is as well. The conversation he has with the publisher about retitling the book was fucking tremendous. It was so good. And the acting, it's a phone call. The acting on the other end, like the uppity white people, was fucking so good too. Max Credit Union. Jeffrey Wright and Sterling Brown are both fucking fantastic in this movie and are very deserving on their nominations. But I got to give big ups to Cord Jefferson and his directorial debut for putting together a pretty memorable movie. And that's what I was thinking about weighing it against the year's best. This is more memorable than Air, and I think a little bit more memorable than, say, The Holdovers. So a slight edge for this movie for me. So I've got this at 38 hot dogs. My number 3 movie of
that's a 95, boys and girls.
Top 3. It's just ahead of Air, like I said, but it is definitively behind Across the Spider-Verse and Oppenheimer. And give that I actually borderline hated the ending of this movie, but I loved the other 95% of it so much that I still have this so high. The ending gets like a bit meta, and it almost like takes you out of the shit that he would just
Does he pop a pair of knives on his shoes and he starts skating around?
It almost takes you out of like the hour and 10 minutes you spent with the rest of the movie. So if this was a better ending, it honestly was close to 40 for me, but the ending was just subpar for me. But I loved 95% of this movie. So 38, number 3 on the year for me.
By the way, I just rewatched Oppenheimer last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth a second viewing.
I like that. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Sticking with that 40, by the way.
Did you get through it in one sitting?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
My kid fell asleep at 7:30 and I says, looks like it's a night to watch Oppenheimer.
I'll let you do the nuts and bolts for this next one.
All right. The next one up here is a little limited series. It sounds like they're going to make a season 2.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely going to after the success.
This is on The Cock, and it is Ted. And I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the television show that has random run times. It's however long the story has to be told, I suppose. TVMA, a comedy on Roddy T's, a 72 and a 90. And the Metacritic is a 55. Sorry to put you on the spot here, Mac, but what do the first 2 Teds have? The Ted movie and the Ted movie 2.
Oh, I believe the first Ted is like right around an 80 on both. It might be 70s in the critics, but I think it's in the 80s for audience score. Maybe, you know what? I'll look it up right now as you're talking about it.
Well, while I'm talking about Ted here, let me talk about the other Ted first. The first Ted movie, the one from 2010, I think is hilarious. I think is one of the best comedies of the decade. We did comedies of the decade, and was it 2012?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And we have this top 10. I think it's hilarious. It's from start to finish some of Seth MacFarlane's best work. Go ahead.
And especially looking at the scores now, it actually might be underrated when we talk about comedies from the decade. 69% from the critics, 73 from the audience.
It's a Seth MacFarlane audience. It's a Family Guy audience. So if you're going in there,
how does this get 90% and that gets 73?
Because it's only being watched by people that
Ted
already
the movie was better than this show.
No, so may I explain myself if you don't mind? People are not going to watch this show. The audience is not going to watch this show if they didn't like the movie. So the people that didn't like that are already out.
I get that, but you weren't going to watch Ted unless you liked Family Guy.
No, people might just go to the movies. Some people don't own TV.
I don't agree with you on that. Good. Ted 2, 45% and 50%, which is understandable, but I liked it more than that.
I didn't care for Ted 2. I like this show more than Ted 2.
I would agree. I would slot this show in between the two, but I think Ted is a tier above this show.
Created by Seth MacFarlane. It's 1993, and Ted, well, all of his fame is past, Mac, and now he is living back at home with his best friend, John, and his family that they swapped out from the first movie, but let's not ask questions about that.
Yeah,
that doesn't matter.
I don't remember them really from the first movie, though.
I did, but I was like...
I just remember Alex Borstein was the mom.
It's almost on purpose that they just didn't mention it. They changed the names of them, so they don't really care about that. And also, the cousin lives there. The dad, reminds us of one of our friends, and that makes him even funnier to me. Everything that he says, I can picture our buddy saying.
Yeah, but it's also like everyone has an uncle like this guy too. So that's more so what I was picturing.
But it made it funnier to me that there's someone pretty much our age that would say it with the exact same accent.
Although if you think about it, like the Scott Grimes' Maddie in this is probably in his early 40s, and our friend is right
that's a
there.
Good point. Yeah, that's right. We're calling you our friend. Take that. Take the insult with. Take the good and the bad here. voiced by Seth MacFarlane as Ted. We have Max Burkholder as John Bennett. So he is a younger Mark Wahlberg. I thought he
Yeah.
was really good.
Oh, I had an issue with this. He looks like he's 25. He doesn't look like he's 16. And I know that there are many 20-year-olds that play teenagers. Tom Holland, most notably, does it really well. Max does not look 16 in this. And
I think he does.
I
Close
believe
enough.
in real life he was 24, 25, or 26. Yeah, he was 26 playing a 16-year-old. And it didn't. I thought he was good, acted well. His face just doesn't look like a 16-year-old.
Then we have Alana Eubank as Susan Bennett, who I think might have had the best hit rate for jokes.
Dude, she's a fucking chameleon. If you don't remember, anyways, this is the first time I can remember seeing her. She was like the nasty waitress from Waiting way back in 2005, 2006.
Okay.
And in between this and that, she has like 100 IMDb credits. She's been in a million things as a million different characters. She truly is a fucking chameleon.
Then we have Scott Grimes as Maddie Bennett, and then Georgia Wiggum.
You got it.
As Blair Bennett.
Yep, she was pretty good. I actually think she was probably the best character, the best non-Ted character in the season.
So, Mac, let's get to the gauntlet here with this. And fun factor for, I'm just going to call it a sitcom. It's a sitcom, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, so I didn't pay ultra attention to it. I would watch it. I'd be kind of doing some other stuff. And I think for what that is, it was perfect.
Yeah, you're only watching this show for a fun factor. You're not coming here for anything else. To me, it is the perfect background show. Like, I pretty much binged it all in one sitting, but I was like doing stuff while I was watching it too. To your point, like I wasn't really paying big time attention. So I probably missed some funny jokes in there, but also like you don't really need to pay attention to it.
I also think that the first episode was the worst episode, and
it's also the longest episode.
So that lost my wife, so I had to then watch it by myself.
In secrecy.
Are you watching that Ted movie again? No. Just in my office. I'm doing work. Satisfactor. Yeah, it satisfied what I was looking for. I saw a lot of people comparing it to Prime Family Guy. I don't think it's as good as Prime Family Guy.
No, I don't even think it's close. And to be honest with you, if we're talking Satisfactor, the only thing I can weigh this up against is my expectations going in. And off the top, when we saw a preview for this like 4 months ago, I was like, oh, this looks pretty decent. And then people kept gassing it up. It was sold to me as like over the top hysterical, and I didn't find it that. I thought it was decently funny. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's not great. It's not bad.
And I think it is Family Guy humor. And obviously, they aren't dealing with what bogged Family Guy down, which was the cutaways. But it doesn't have the same comedic pacing that I think Family Guy does.
I also think us being born in 1989 might not find it as funny as someone born in 1979. You know, someone that was a teenager in 1993 is probably picking up and finding more things funny than we were. So that's an issue as well.
Was the car chase in 93?
Yeah, they make reference. They make a joke about that.
No, I know, but I thought it was mid-90s for some reason.
I did look that up too. There was a couple things I wasn't sure about the dates because the funniest joke in here was almost a throwaway. Someone brings up Aladdin or maybe it was when they were talking about Halloween. I don't fucking remember. But Ted goes, "Oh, fucking Jafar," and it absolutely murdered me. I thought it was the funniest saying of the whole season.
I think the joke that made me laugh the hardest was when they were at the Friendlies and they were taking a look at the bully who they had dressed like an idiot.
Yeah, the bully who also looks like he's 30.
And then they called from the outside and they said, "Is there someone in there dressed like a fucking idiot?" And she goes, "We are at a Friendlies."
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Yeah. Borometer? No.
A little bit. It ticked a little bit, but I expected that.
Halloween, will it wane over time? I think it might be like a throw-on show, like fall asleep.
Yeah, I might watch it a second or third time just to pick up on stuff I missed.
Pants Tent City. There were some pretty good jokes in here.
Like I said, that Jafar joke fucking murdered me. I belly laughed for like 3 minutes. But it wasn't. So this show, like the funniest shows to me are so funny that you're laughing hard enough that you actually missed the next joke.
Yeah.
And that only happened a couple times in here for me.
Well, the guy that was drawing his own porn and then he starts talking about hands, like that was really funny.
That was very good.
Yeah. Max Credit Union.
Each episode usually had one like real laugh out loud moment.
Max Credit Union. Who are you giving credit to?
I guess Seth MacFarlane for reviving a 12-year-old property, or I guess Ted 2 came out after that, but no one had really thought about Ted in years. And I know that I think it was Peacock that actually approached him. It wasn't even really something he was interested in doing, and throwing together 7 episodes, which is a weird number, and it being wildly successful. I'd say I guarantee you this is done better than anyone expected it to do.
This has also gotten so much burn on TikToks and Reels. I sound so old. I just said TikToks. TikTok and Reels.
Yeah.
So credit there too.
Yeah, very true. Absolutely true.
Although everyone was just going like goo goo gaga over the scene where Ted burns the girl with like, your nose job, like all that stuff.
Oh, in the classroom.
And I didn't think that was that funny.
Yeah, it was fine. He was just standing up for Suze.
Oh, you know what? I saw so many. It was reaction videos. So it's the person in front of a green screen with that in the background. And it's them like, who, he eviscerated her.
Well, that's sort of what I'm talking about, his expectation level going into this. Like, I didn't have any of those type of moments where I was like, oh, that was fucking sick.
Yeah, but they also know that it's a scripted show and that person's not real, right? And one of them's a teddy bear.
I don't know. I'm not sure. A lot of weirdos out there.
Did you see Ted eviscerate this schoolgirl?
Yeah. Hot dogs. What would you give this show, this series, this 7-episode run, hot dog wise?
That is a great question.
You want me to go?
No, I'll go after that long pause. It's tough because I wanted to say 32, but then I thought to myself, is it an 8 out of 10? 31.
Go. We're right in the same vein. To me, this is a perfect 30 hot dog show. Something I can throw on in the background, laugh at, not even think twice about. Now, maybe people liked it a lot more than we did. It's just not like when Ted 2 or Ted season 2 comes out, I'm not going to be rushing to Peacock to watch it. I'll get to it like on the second weekend when I have nothing to do. So that's where like I think people should temper how they're rating this show. It's not, I don't think it's a must-watch show. I think it's something that if you have a nice Saturday with nothing to do, throw on Ted.
All right, Mac, I think we might have run out of time and we'll save Echo.
All right, good enough. I was getting ready to eviscerate Echo.
There's not enough time. Wow. There's not enough time.
Can we tease Echo? Our thoughts for Echo?
We didn't like it. I mean, we've teased it 4 times already. We'll get to Echo next time.
As I was typing out my thoughts for Echo, I realized how much I hated it.
Guys, so I know that like people always joke around about like, oh, we're going to get to this topic next week. And then they didn't do any prep. Mac did so much prep.
I have a good amount of prep for Echo.
Mac has so much notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. But like, so don't think this is a joke that we're like, oh, we're going to get to Echo next week. And then we never get to Echo. My producer's giving us one of these.
All right.
Mac has so many notes here that it was going to take 25 minutes, and we spent most of our time on Argylle.
True.
So we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, maybe we'll do Echo for our next episode. Maybe. I don't know.
We'll full episode?
I don't know.
We only have 5 listeners
I did tell you today, if you had seen American Fiction, we had enough in one episode for just Argylle and American Fiction.
What did I tell you about my schedule? I don't control it anymore.
Maybe if you see American Fiction this week, we could do a redux of American Fiction with Echo.
We're not doing American Fiction again. The ship has sailed.
All right.
Let's get into Macsack.
And Macsack could be anything. It could be a boat. And Mac, did you know this? Here's a little fun fact about me.
Okay.
I would say that for a year and a half, possibly 2 years, I did not go grocery shopping.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, I'm all in on laziness, especially if you know you're only going for like 6 things. It's really hard to leave the house for 6 things. If you got to go get $300 worth of groceries, all right, I get it. But if I got to go get like 6 things, no thanks.
I pretty much for 2 years had no food in my house, and we just ordered out every single meal.
Yeah, I'm on that board. And listen, I mean, you have multiple people, but it's really hard to cook for one person because when you cook for one person, you have to eat the same thing for like 5 days in a row, and I fucking hate leftovers. hate leftovers.
So pretty much
Despise
at the start of this year, I looked at how much money I wasted over the last 2 years of maybe we should start doing this. So since the start of January, since January 1st, we have gone food shopping at least once a week.
Credit to you guys.
And I have made dinner at least 6 nights a week.
Wow. So you're doing like a one night, have our night off to order out type thing.
Pretty much. We get one night to order out.
Nice. I like that. Good job. You're an adult.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I also bought a pizza oven.
Oh yeah. So you had sent a few pictures of your first run with it. How would you rate it compared to the prior ways you were making pizza?
I had never made pizza before.
Oh, okay. So you never made it in the oven?
No.
Like okay, gotcha.
I'm still getting used to shoveling up the raw pizza and then shoveling it onto the stone.
So are you using cornmeal underneath?
No, so that's where my issue is.
You gotta get
my uncle just
cornmeal
told me
so-
about cornmeal
so it
because
moves. Yeah.
I had been using flour, and flour only did so much.
Yeah, you got to get some cornmeal. That's what's really gonna help it move a little bit. The only recommendations I can give to you, obviously, the pizza oven is made for pizzas, but I found for the way I like pizza, I would actually go dough for now. That this is talking about the bigger oven, so it doesn't cook the same. I would put the dough in first by itself for a few minutes, take it out, put all the toppings on, then put it back in, because I was finding the toppings and everything on top would cook quicker than the dough would, and it was too floppy. I liked it a little crispier.
Okay,
so
well,
if you like it a little crispier, put the dough in by itself for a couple minutes.
My oven also gets up to like 800 degrees, so that's not an
nice.
issue for me.
Okay.
What are we talking about? Oh, food shopping. So at Market Basket today.
Waltham? Where do you go?
Yes, yeah, Waltham. I was pushing my son around in the cart. My wife was also there. Over the loudspeaker, the song, Toto's Africa. So, you're walking down the aisles, you're kind of singing it to yourself, trying not to sing it too loudly. You realize every once in a while that you are singing too loud, so you stop singing for a little while. And as I'm walking by, another white guy walks by me also singing. Like, okay, all right. Me and this guy, we both get it. I walk by another white guy also singing it.
It's a real toe tapper. It's got to be on the short list for songs that come on and you don't start at least humming it.
No, but I think it's a real white dad thing.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like a classic middle-aged white person singing Toto's Africa. When did it come out? 1983 or 84?
Whatever it is, but yeah.
A lot of people call it the song of the 80s.
I did. We are pushing, and people are walking by me. I'm walking by it, and we're trying to hide it from each other, but we're all singing it.
The other thing I like about that Waltham Market Basket is the liquor store is right next door. You just pop in that door.
You know what I like about it? Home Goods right next door.
Yeah, nice little plaza they got.
Great little plaza. Home Goods is fantastic. I love Home Goods.
Home Goods is a place where you can spend a lot of money quickly, and you just buy stuff, and you're like, I guess I could put this in my living room.
I pulled a Jonah Hill from the 40-Year-Old Virgin the other day. So I went into Home Goods.
Yeah.
They had a really nice painting that I really like. But it was $200 and it came in a giant plastic casing. And I said to them, what if I give you $100 and you take it out of the plastic casing? You can keep the plastic casing and I just want the painting.
Right. Doesn't quite work like that.
They told me no. They said, no, you buy the plastic with the painting. It's a limited thing. I'm like, it's on clearance. It's not that limited. Just give it to me.
It was on clearance for $200. How much was it originally?
I don't know. But it comes in a giant plastic shield. So
do you have an open wall where you could put that?
We're looking to take down the art that is in my living room right now.
Gotcha.
You know what I like about it? It's like it's splattering of like white and black. It has like some like dirty words.
This one dog looking this one way. This other dog looking.
But then like painted on there, it looks like an admit one like ticket. I'm like, that looks really fucking cool.
The only art I have in my home now, I'm just renting, so I'm a little bit limited, is just movie posters. Just movie posters.
I know, but I don't think my wife will be cool if I hung a Back to the Future poster up in the
living room.
No, but
that's where you do a nice little remedy. Her favorite films, you get some of hers, you do some of yours, and then it's a whole thing.
No, we're just gonna deck the living room out with Gossip Girl. That's it.
That's a thing too. That could be a thing.
All 7 seasons, whatever the banner is for Gossip Girl.
The DVD cover posters.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Are we allowed to put Chuck on there anymore? Has he been acquitted?
I don't
wanna
know
get
who
into
Chuck
it.
is.
Chuck Bass?
Yeah, who's Chuck
Oof.
Bass?
The actor. He had some issues. Eastwick, is that his name?
Scott Eastwick? No,
That's
that's Scott
Scott.
Eastwood.
Westwick.
I don't know who you're talking
Northwick.
about.
Southwick.
I'm thinking about Scott Eastwood, who is not who you're talking about.
No.
Okay. All right.
Scott
Oh.
Kahn? What's Scott Kahn's son's name?
Scott. James Caan is Scott Caan, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott Kahn is the son.
Or, wait, Scott Eastwood. Wait, does Eastwood and Caan have the same named sons? Hold on a second here. I feel like it is Scott Caan. Let me look it up.
I liked him on Entourage.
Scott Caan.
He had
Yeah,
slick back
American
hair.
act. Yeah, Scott Caan. Now, Scott Eastwood. Yeah, there is a Scott. All right, they were both Scott. I wasn't wrong. I was confused.
All right, where can the people find us?
You can find us on Twitter and on Instagram at Mac and Goo Podcast. Every other platform we are Mac &Goo. That's Mac Shift 7, includes Facebook, Stitcher, TuneIn, Castbox, Spreaker, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify, but more importantly, Apple Podcasts. Get on there, rate reviews 5 stars if you do that. Oh, I subscribe. Also, that's the big one.
Please.
We'll get you a free Mac and Goo t-shirt from the folks over at Watertown Sportswear. That's Watertown Sportswear, 34 Mount Auburn Street in Watertown. WatertownSportswear.com, expert screen printing and embroidery.
tpublic.com. I had an idea for an episode, and I'm going to run it by you right now because I want the audience to partake in this. Like, actually send us suggestions.
Uh-huh.
Are you ready for this?
Sure.
We say a movie.
Mm-hmm.
A movie that we believe, if you flipped the 2 lead roles, it is a better movie. Like, let me give you an example.
Okay.
So, could you imagine if in Mean Girls, you had Rachel McAdams playing Kaylee,
Katie Haring,
and whatever her name is, and then Lindsay Lohan playing Regina George?
Yeah, it is interesting to think about, because Katie Haring is asked to do. First of all, Lilo does a great job, by the way. But Katie Haring is asked to show a lot more emotions than Regina George is, and clearly Rachel McAdams is a better actor, and she definitely was then too, because that was the year after.
You think it's a better movie?
I think The Notebook came out in 2003, right? And also, not for nothing, I think the blonde version of Rachel McAdams is much worse looking than the brunette. So if you had Rachel McAdams as a brunette or a ginger and had Lilo as the lead main girl, that would have made a lot of sense.
So do you like the idea for this episode?
Yes and no, because it's just going to be a lot of, no, I like it the way it was.
Yeah, and you know what we're going to call the episode? The Missy Elliott episode.
Flip it and reverse it. Is
If you got a big, let me search it.
Found out how hard I got to work it.
Because another one that makes me think, and there's a possibility here, is if you flipped Christian Bale and Heath Ledger, it wouldn't have been better, but I think that would have worked too.
Yeah, but so then we can't do that though. If we know it wouldn't have been better, we can't do that.
That's just off the top of my head as an idea.
What if Robert Downey Jr. was Captain America and Chris Evans was Iron Man?
No, so that doesn't work.
I kind of hate this episode now. Just thinking about it.
Well, we're not
going to be a lot of dumb what ifs.
No, this is us not.
We hate what if. We hate what if.
This is us thinking about it.
This
what
is
we're
just
gonna do.
An as shitty version of what if.
But the Hydra Stomper.
If you could get me like 15 to 20.
Do I have one already? You gonna give me credit for Mean Girls?
I don't know. That's a tough one because it would have been hard to sell Rachel McAdams as the lead. Although I think she did The Notebook the year before, right? Lindsay Lohan was much more popular than Rachel McAdams was then.
So what if I do this? It
definitely works the other way. I don't know if it's better. It almost has to be better, right?
Okay. If I send you 25, how many have to be better for you to accept this episode?
Well, I'm thinking we gotta spend like 2 minutes on each one, so 15.
Okay,
30 minutes.
So you're saying that I need to hit on 15 out of 25.
Yeah.
And then after that, you'll put time into also doing it. You need to see that I have good results for then you to think about it.
I'm not going to look any of them up.
No, but once you look up mine.
If you give me 15, I will then assess them, yes.
But I feel like once you see my 15 and you're like, these are all great, then that'll get your mind working and then
Possibly.
you'll start doing stuff.
Possibly. Yeah.
But
You're
that's
not
not
wrong.
going to happen unless I do my work first.
Yeah, because I have a feeling this is
Okay.
going to be a less than stellar exercise. But listen, I'll let you go down that path, and if it works, it works.
And listeners out there, if you have one, send it in.
Yeah, by all means.
And we're not saying to recast it with someone from the outside. It needs to be a flip and reverse in the movie.
I'm trying to think. I bet you could do a lot of like late 90s movies that had like 2 or 3 heartthrobs on both sides.
Like, what if you flipped the leads from Austin Powers? So the guy that played Austin Powers in Dr. Evil, we flipped them. I should have saved that. I should have saved that for the notes.
Right.
That would have won you over.
Yeah.
All right. Tuesdays are goose days. I abuse kangaroos.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.